So as you develop the IP strategy and start implementing it, it has invariably three phases. You launch the IP strategy or the innovation capture culture uh, within your company or within your organization. There is a lot of heavy lifting that has to be done so that you can truly establish this cultural aspect of value creation through IP. And this innovation capture culture is a very, very serious effort required, measured approach that has to be instituted. Now, so many of the startups or small companies or even unicorns get too caught up in their operations and success in the market. But if you don't have right culture, your success will be limited. And same way in your value system or the pillars of your culture, innovation capture has to be one of them in order for you to be successful in the IP capture and the IP value creation. Part of some other elements in there are also setting up the right processes and then persistent reinforcement so that this culture becomes pervasive. Some people may have questions about what do I mean by culture. So I am of Indian origin. I'm vegetarian for generations. So that's integral part of who I am or what my culture is. So no matter how hungry I am, and if I see food, the first thing that comes to my mind is this vegetarian food for me to consume? And if it's not, I would walk away. Same way, IP is created all over the company. And innovation capture culture is awareness among all the people involved in the IP creation or monitoring or capture are always thinking about, is this something important for us to capture? Is this something important in our value creation journey? And that thought process is integral part of culture, and they act on it is also important part of culture. Once you launch this program carefully and then uh, start focusing on key measurable matrices so that this is really happening, the next part is doing the risk assessment and figuring out what are the key things that needs to be worried about. We talked about on the patent risk, for example, in my earlier part of the presentation, where companies going public not having the IP strategy or innovation capture culture ended up paying significant penalty. But there are ways and means for doing a systematic analysis to identify the risk, assess the risk, and mitigate the risk. So you have launched a new product line or your product line has certain name. But when you launch that product line, if you hadn't checked for the trademark or the ownership right for that particular term that you are using, then you are disrupting, and then somebody else has that as a trademark or registered trademark, then all of a sudden your brand equity building is going to be interrupted. And you're going to have to rework the name of the product and then start rebuilding or realign your brand value creation. Same way on patent front, if you had not captured your ideas for patenting, then it becomes, and then you launch the product, then your ideas and concept become community property and it creates a risk for your existing business. So there are scientific and legal ways of establishing risk assessment and mitigation criterions and workarounds. So those are important part of this IP strategy. In the development phase, as the innovation capture is going very well, one should focus on that part. And then as you fast forward and you actually have created a very strong portfolio of IP, uh, either through risk mitigation and IP acquisition, or through your internally grooming the IP and capturing it, and then all this value creation is created, that is the point when you can harvest the value of your IP. So as Jeff talked about earlier, the patents are negative rights. It's a right to exclude. So if you are very successful with your product line in your market and 10 other competitors are trying to copy or imitate you, this is when you can harvest the IP rights that you have developed and the IP assets that you have developed to continue your journey with sustained growth and competitive advantage.